Even when progress feels slow, continued effort ensures that direction is correct. Many people quit too early because they expect immediate results, but consistency requires patience. It is the understanding that growth takes time and that effort is never wasted. Even when results are not visible, development is happening internally. Skills are improving, mindset is strengthening, and discipline is deepening. Eventually, this invisible progress turns into visible success. Consistency is also powerful because it creates momentum. Once a person develops a routine of regular effort, it becomes easier to continue than to stop. The mind adapts to action, and stopping feels uncomfortable. This momentum carries a person through challenges that would normally stop others. In life, success is not about one big action, but about thousands of small actions done repeatedly without giving up. Consistency is what turns dreams into reality, not overnight, but step by step, day by day, until what once felt impossible becomes natural and achieved. Focusing on silent effort instead of seeking attention or validation from others is one of the most powerful shifts a person can make in life. In a world where people are constantly encouraged to share everything, from small achievements to personal milestones, it becomes very easy to fall into the habit of working for recognition rather than working for real progress. But true growth rarely happens in the spotlight. It happens in quiet moments when no one is watching, no one is praising, and no one is even aware of the effort being made. Silent effort means choosing to invest energy into improvement without the need to announce it or display it to others. It is the understanding that results are more important than reactions, and progress is more valuable than approval. When a person constantly seeks validation, their focus shifts from doing meaningful work to creating an impression. Instead of asking, "How can I improve?" they begin to ask, "How will this look to others?" This shift slowly weakens performance because attention becomes the goal rather than growth. On the other hand, when effort is kept silent, the mind becomes free from external pressure. There's no comparison, no competition for approval, and no emotional dependency on others' opinions. This creates a mental environment where a person can focus deeply on learning, building, and improving without distraction. Silent effort allows authenticity. A person is able to work on their weaknesses without embarrassment and develop their strengths without pressure to prove anything. Many of the most successful people in the world built their foundation in silence. They did not start by showing their journey. They started by building it. They allowed their work to mature before presenting it to the world. This approach protects energy because not every stage of growth needs to be shared. When someone works quietly, they avoid unnecessary criticism and unnecessary praise, both of which can interrupt focus. Criticism can create doubt, and excessive praise can create ego, but silent effort keeps a person balanced. It keeps them grounded in reality and focused on continuous improvement. Another important aspect of silent effort is that it builds internal satisfaction rather than external dependence. When a person is used to working for validation, their happiness depends on how others respond to their achievements. But when they work in silence, satisfaction comes from within. It comes from knowing that effort was given regardless of who noticed it. This creates emotional stability because self-worth is no longer controlled by outside opinions. Silent effort also develops patience. Without constant attention, progress may feel slower, but in reality, it becomes stronger and more stable. Trees grow their roots deep before they grow tall. And in the same way, silent effort builds a strong foundation before visible success appears. This foundation ensures that when success finally comes, it is not fragile or temporary, but solid and lasting. Many people fail because they rush to show results before they are ready. They seek recognition too early, and as a result, their growth becomes incomplete. Silent effort avoids this mistake by allowing time for real development. It also increases focus because there's no pressure to perform for an audience. The only responsibility becomes self-improvement. Every action is measured by personal progress rather than public reaction. This creates a powerful mindset where discipline becomes stronger than desire for approval. Over time, silent effort builds confidence that is not dependent on praise. A person begins to trust their process instead of relying on opinions. Even when no one acknowledges their work, they continue because they understand the value of what they are building. Eventually, when results become visible, they carry real weight because they are backed by unseen effort, dedication, and patience. That is why silent effort is so powerful. It creates success that is earned, not displayed, and confidence that is built from within, not borrowed from others. Progress often happens in ways that are not immediately visible, especially during periods of struggle and doubt, and this is one of the most misunderstood parts of personal growth. Now, when a person is working toward a goal, they usually expect progress to show itself clearly and quickly, where real development does not always follow a visible pattern. Many of the most important changes happen internally, beneath the surface, where they cannot be easily measured or seen. During times of struggle, when effort feels heavy and results seem distant, it is actually possible that the most significant growth is taking place. This is because challenges force a person to adapt, think differently, and develop resilience. Even though it may feel like nothing is moving forward, the mind and character are often being shaped in powerful ways. Doubt is one of the strongest emotional barriers in this process. It creates the illusion that effort is wasted and that progress is not happening. But doubt is not a reflection of reality. It is a reflection of temporary emotion. When someone continues to work despite doubt, they are building mental strength that cannot be developed in easy situations. Struggle plays a similar role. It tests patience, endurance, and commitment. A person who continues despite difficulty is quietly improving, even if they cannot see it yet. For example, when learning a new skill, there is often a stage where improvement feels stuck. This stage can be frustrating because effort does not seem to produce immediate results. However, behind the scenes, the brain is forming new connections, understanding patterns, and adjusting to new information. This invisible progress eventually leads to a breakthrough, but only for those who continue working through the difficult phase. Many people quit right before this breakthrough because they mistake lack of visible progress for failure. In reality, it is often the final stage before improvement becomes noticeable. Struggle also teaches patience, which is essential for long-term success. Without patience, a person becomes dependent on quick results, and anything that takes time feels discouraging. But when someone understands that growth is not always immediate, they become more stable within their efforts. They learn to trust the process even when outcomes are unclear. Doubt, while uncomfortable, can also become a tool for growth if handled correctly. It pushes a person to question their methods, refine their approach, and strengthen their determination. Instead of stopping progress, doubt can deepen it by encouraging reflection and adjustment. The combination of struggle and doubt often creates the feeling of being stuck, but this feeling is misleading. Stagnation is rarely real. It is usually just unseen movement. This confidence is not based on external validation, but on personal proof of reliability. As discipline grows, the need for motivation decreases. A disciplined person does not wait for inspiration. They act automatically based on habit and structure. For example, if someone is disciplined in studying, they do not wait to feel ready. They simply begin because it is part of their routine. The same applies to fitness, work, or any skill development. Action becomes natural rather than forced. This is one of the strongest advantages of discipline. It turns effort into habit, into identity. Discipline also protects progress during difficult phases. Every journey has moments where results slow down or become unclear. Motivation usually disappears during these phases because it depends on visible success. But discipline continues regardless of results. It keeps a person steady when emotions fluctuate and when doubt appears. It creates stability in situations where others might quit. Over time, this consistency leads to breakthroughs that would not be possible without sustained effort. Another powerful effect of discipline is that it reduces internal conflict. Without discipline, a person constantly debates with themselves whether to act or not, whether to continue or stop. This internal struggle drains energy. Discipline removes this struggle by making decisions in advance. Once a routine is established, there is no need for repeated decision-making. The mind simply follows what has already been decided. This frees mental energy for deeper focus and better performance. Discipline also shapes identity. A person who consistently acts with discipline begins to see themselves as reliable, focused, and committed. This identity becomes stronger over time and influences future behavior. Instead of trying to act disciplined, they naturally become disciplined. In the long run, discipline becomes more powerful than motivation because it does not disappear when conditions become difficult. It remains steady, guiding actions even in the absence of emotional support. It turns effort into consistency, consistency into progress, and progress into achievement that lasts. Small daily improvements may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time, they create a transformation that is far greater than what most people imagine at the beginning. Human growth rarely happens through one massive action. Instead, it is built through repeated simple efforts that accumulate quietly. When a person focuses on improving just a little every day, they are essentially building momentum that compounds over weeks, months, and years. At first, these improvements are so small that they might even feel meaningless. Learning one new concept, practicing a skill for a short period, correcting a small mistake, or making a slightly better decision may not look impressive on its own. However, the power lies not in the size of the improvement, but in the consistency of it. Each small step adds to the previous one, slowly increasing ability, understanding, and confidence without sudden jumps that are difficult to maintain. Over time, these tiny gains begin to stack together, and what once seemed like a minor effort becomes a significant level of growth. This is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary results without dramatic changes in their daily routine. The idea of small improvements also removes pressure. When people think about big goals, they often feel overwhelmed because the gap between where they are and where they want to be looks too large. This pressure can lead to procrastination or quitting early. But when the focus shifts to small improvements, the goal becomes more manageable. Instead of trying to become perfect overnight, the attention moves to becoming slightly better than yesterday. This mindset makes progress more sustainable because it reduces fear and increases action. Even on difficult days, a small effort is still possible, and that small effort keeps the journey alive. Another important aspect of small improvements is that they help build habits naturally. When actions are small and consistent, they are easier to repeat. Over time, repetition turns into habit, and habit becomes part of identity. A person who consistently makes small improvements in their studies becomes a better learner. A person who makes small improvements in fitness gradually becomes healthier and stronger. These changes do not happen suddenly. They develop slowly through repetition that strengthens both skill and mindset. Small improvements also create a positive cycle. When a person sees even slight progress, it increases motivation to continue. This motivation is not based on external reward, but on internal evidence of growth. As progress continues, confidence begins to rise, and with confidence comes greater willingness to take on new challenges. This leads to further improvement, which again reinforces confidence. Over time, this cycle builds unstoppable momentum. One of the most powerful effects of small daily improvements is that they reduce the risk of burnout. Large, intense efforts that are not sustainable often lead to exhaustion and inconsistency. But small improvements are manageable and can be maintained for long periods without breaking down. This steady pace ensures that progress continues even when energy levels fluctuate. It also allows the mind to adapt gradually, making change feel natural rather than forced. Another key point is that small improvements compound in ways that are not immediately visible. Just like interest in a bank account grows slowly but becomes significant over time, personal growth also compounds silently. At first, the change is almost unnoticeable, but after a long period, the difference becomes massive. A person who improves by just 1% every day becomes dramatically different after a year compared to someone who remains stagnant. The gap between consistent small improvement and no improvement becomes extremely large over time. Small improvements also build resilience. When a person commits to improving slightly every day, they learn to stay consistent even in imperfect conditions. They understand that progress does not require perfect circumstances. This mindset makes them more adaptable and less likely to quit when challenges arise. Eventually, what begins as small steps becomes a powerful system of growth. The accumulation of effort, patience, and repetition transforms potential into achievement. What once looked like a slow process eventually reveals itself as the most reliable path to lasting success. Letting success speak for itself instead of trying to prove yourself through words is one of the strongest signs of maturity and self-confidence. Many people feel the need to constantly explain what they are doing, what they are planning, or what they have achieved, as if words are necessary to validate their progress. However, real success does not require constant explanation. When someone is truly focused on growth, their energy is directed toward building, improving, and achieving, rather than talking about what they might do or what they intend to do. Actions naturally become more important than statements. Speaking too much about goals can sometimes reduce focus because it shifts attention from execution to impression. When a person is busy explaining their journey, a part of their energy is spent on convincing others instead of actually working. On the other hand, when someone chooses silence and focuses entirely on effort, their energy is fully directed toward results. This creates deeper concentration and better outcomes over time. Success that is constantly talked about before it is achieved often loses strength because expectations are exposed too early, while success that is built quietly carries more substance and stability. When results finally appear, they do not need justification because they are already visible and undeniable. Another important aspect of letting success speak is that it reduces unnecessary pressure. When people announce their goals or plans too early, they often feel obligated to meet external expectations. This can create stress and distraction because they start worrying about how others will judge their progress. However, when they work silently, they remove this external pressure and focus only on improvement. The journey becomes more personal and less influenced by outside opinions. This allows growth to happen naturally without the fear of disappointing others. Silence also protects progress from negativity. Not everyone supports ambition, and not every opinion is helpful. When plans are shared too early, they are exposed to criticism, doubt, and unnecessary interference. These external voices can weaken confidence and slow down progress. But when effort is kept private, it remains protected. A person can focus on building without interruption, without having to defend their choices or explain their methods. This creates a stronger and more stable foundation for success. Letting results speak also builds credibility. When someone consistently achieves without excessive talk, their work develops a natural level of respect. People begin to notice outcomes rather than promises. Over time, this creates a strong reputation based on evidence rather than words. Such credibility is powerful because it cannot be easily questioned or ignored. It is built through consistent performance, not communication. Another important point is that silence increases focus. When attention is not divided between doing and talking, the mind becomes more centered. Energy that would have been used for explaining or justifying actions is instead used for improving them. This leads to higher quality work and better long-term results. Focused effort in silence often produces deeper progress because it removes distractions related to perception. Letting success speak also teaches patience. Instead of rushing to show progress, a person learns to allow results to develop fully before sharing them. This patience ensures that what is eventually presented is strong, complete, and meaningful. Rushed success often lacks depth, but quiet success tends to be more solid because it has been developed over time without external interruption. Over time, this approach also builds confidence from within. A person no longer depends on approval or recognition to feel successful. They know the value of their effort because they have experienced the process privately. When success finally becomes visible, it feels more rewarding because it is not based on expectation, but on real achievement. Ultimately, letting success speak for itself transforms the way a person approaches growth. It shifts focus from appearance to reality, from words to action, and from explanation to execution. The result is a stronger, more authentic form of success that stands on its own without needing validation. In the end, real success does not need noise, explanation, or constant approval. It naturally becomes visible through results, actions, and the impact it creates over time. When a person stays focused on effort rather than attention, they build something stronger than recognition. They build lasting achievement. Silence during the process and consistency in action ensure that when success finally arrives, it speaks clearly on its own. There is no need to convince others because the results already do the talking.